Takumi Kayano was an ordinary 28-year-old Japanese man who suddenly lost his life because God made a mistake. To atone for his mistake, God sent him to another world, where he met two exceptionally powerful kids who were lost in the forest. Pitying the kids, Takumi adopted them, and thus began his adventurous life of raising two cute kids in a world full of magic and monsters. One day, Takumi suddenly found himself in the halls of heaven without any understanding of the situation, and saw the femboy god named Sil kneeling before him, begging for his forgiveness. Sil explains that he was trying to fix a problem with the space-time fabric but made a mistake doing that, and Takumi lost his life because of his mistake. Takumi is aghast, but to atone for his mistakes, Sil decides to send him to the world of Ateldia that he governs. Takumi is given a new body that has the basic knowledge of this world along with various skills. He wanders through the forest in the other world cautiously, when a bunch of C-rank monsters called Red Wolves surround him. Takumi uses his status window to check their level, and as one wolf pounces on him, he brings it down instantly using his air shot magic. Once the monsters are dead, he places them inside his inventory with magic, and then resumes his walk. He opens his status window to find that he has reached level 3 after defeating the 3 wolves. Suddenly, he hears a rustling from the bushes, and he prepares to meet another monster. But to his surprise, there is a pair of blue-haired twins in front of him. The twins look at him with astonishment, and Takumi gently asks them if they are lost and where are their parents. The kids seem cautious of him, but then Takumi learns that they are really hungry, so he searches his inventory for the food Sil left him there. He summons a big pear and gives it to the kids, who happily devour it. Takumi then notices that their clothes are in tatters, and he uses some spare clothes from his inventory to dress them up properly. He asks the kids if they would like to come with him to the nearby village or city, but they don't reply. He decides to check their status using his appraisal skill, and finds that they are both 5-year-old and have no name. Takumi decides to name the boy Alan and the girl Elena, and asks them to follow him. They follow him without a word, and just as Takumi is about to take a break for the sake of the kids, they begin running ahead. Suddenly, a bunch of boar monsters appear in front of them, and Takumi panics because he wants to save the kids, but he can't use his skills on the monsters as the kids are in his line. To his utter surprise, the twins hit a boar monster with a combined flying kick, knocking it away, and then deal with the remaining boars quickly too. Takumi is in disbelief that the 5-year-olds are so strong, but he asks them to notify him if they spot any monster in the future. The chance to do that comes quite soon, and the twins alert Takumi about a monster seconds before hitting it away too. He pats their heads as he praises them, and seeing their cute smile, he feels his heart melting. They continue their journey till evening, with Alan and Elena dealing with all the monsters along the way. They set up a base camp, where the twins help Takumi gather some dry wood. He uses a fire crystal to start a fire, and then roasts some meat over it. Later, he sets up a protective barrier using more crystals and sleeps together with the twins. The next day, they reach the city, where the guards are suspicious on seeing them emerge from the dangerous forest. Takumi quickly cooks up a story about how he is a villager who went to the forest to get medicinal herbs, and assures the guards that his kids are strong enough to fend for themselves. The guard believes his story and then asks for his identity card if he wants to enter the city. Takumi says that he doesn't have one, so the guard decides to quickly issue him one. He takes him to a room where they touch magic balls that can detect any criminal history. The balls glow blue, indicating they are clear, and the guard hands them their temporary identity cards, advising them to get permanent identity cards at the guild if they are going to stay in the city for long. Takumi and the twins enter the city, where he finds that the kids are afraid of strangers. He then leads them to the church and kneels before the statue of Sil as he tries to contact him. Sil appears before him and asks how is he adjusting to the new world. Takumi replies that everything is fine, but he found 2 kids along the way, and now he is thinking of handing them over to an orphanage. The femboy god panics and tells him not to do it, which verifies Takumi's suspicions that he was behind it. Sil apologizes to him, and Takumi just asks him to explain the situation with the twins. Sil says that he cannot tell him anything about it, and just by that Takumi understands that other gods of this world might be involved in the matter. Sil confirms this but refuses to reveal anything more, and Takumi doesn't press him either. Sil requests him to take care of the special kids, and Takumi reveals that he was never planning to hand them to the orphanage. After that, he returns to the twins and takes them to an inn. He jumps on the bed, and the kids follow his actions, bouncing on the bed gleefully. They fall asleep quickly, and the next morning, Takumi tells the kid good morning as he wakes up. They wish him good morning in return, and he is taken aback because he thought they couldn't talk. He is happy that they can talk to him now, and hugs them before leading them to the Adventurers Guild. At the guild, Takumi tells the receptionist Luna that he wants to register as an adventurer. He also registers Alan and Elena as adventurers because there is no minimum age limit. They get their guild cards, which can be used as their identity cards as well. Luna then explains the basics of adventuring, and Takumi tells her that he would like to register a party. Luna asks him for the party name, and after thinking for a bit, Takumi looks at the kids who look like angels, so he names his party White Wings. After that, he takes their first quest, which is to gather medicinal herbs from the forest. They go to the forest where they find a slime, which is the weakest of all monsters. Alan and Elena begin playing with it, while Takumi finds the herb they are looking for. He tells the kids to remember the herb and teaches them how to pluck it. The kids immediately find some herbs and Takumi pats their heads to praise them. They begin collecting the herbs, and thanks to the great skill of the twins, they are able to procure an unbelievable amount. Luna gives Takumi the reward for completing the quest, and as he is praising the twins for that, a harsh voice echoes through the halls, asking what the hell are kids doing here. Alan and Elena are afraid, so they immediately hide behind Takumi, who confronts the rude adventurer. He asks him if he has any problem with his kids, and the rude Baldy replies that this is not a kindergarten. Takumi tells him that the kids are not bothering anyone, but the Baldy is a butthurt Karen who only lives to fight with others. He grabs Takumi's collar even as Luna is trying to break the fight, but this angers the twins, who immediately knock Baldy out with a kick. They are about to finish him off, but Takumi stops them, and just then, the redhead guard he saw at the gate the other day comes into the guild. While Takumi is busy wondering why the guard is here, Luna points out that the kids are crying. Takumi panics and tries to console them, and learns that they thought he was mad at them when he shouted at them to stop attacking Baldy. He hugs and consoles the twins, and later reports everything to the redhead knight, who introduces himself as Vault, the second captain of the Knights of the Kingdom Gaudia. Vault asks him why the kids were crying, and Takumi replies that it was because they were afraid that he would abandon them. He reveals that they are not his kids or siblings even, but he found them in the dangerous forest. Vault and Luna are shocked to hear this, and Takumi explains that he doesn't know why the twins were in the forest, and asks the knight if he can tell him anything about it. Luna has heard about a slave trader whose convoy was attacked by monsters in the forest, and everyone thinks that the twins must have been part of the convoy. Takumi asks if he can adopt the kids, and since they are already close to him, Vault immediately appoints him as their legal guardian. Just as they are finished, Luna springs up and asks Takumi if he has some resources from the deep forest because he said he came from there. Vault explains that Luna is crazy about rare materials, so Takumi sells the red wolves and other things to her in exchange for a good amount of money. After that, Vault says that he is here to meet the guild master, because they are soon going to launch an expedition into the dangerous forest to thin out the number of monsters before they cause trouble. Since the danger ranking of the forest is a bit and not many people are suitable to enter it, Vault asks Takumi to join the expedition too, because he has already survived the forest. Takumi is shocked and dejected that a responsibility has been thrust on him out of nowhere, but then he gets another thing to worry about as he finds the twins trying to eat silver coins. Soon, 1 month passes since Takumi's arrival in this world. Alan and Elena have become more cheerful, and now they interact better with strangers even though they were really wary of them in the beginning. As the adventuring party White Wings, Takumi and the kids work for 2 days and then rest for 1, enjoying their life. One day, as they are eating bread and soup for breakfast, Takumi feels something is missing, and he soon realizes that he is missing all the fancy breads that he had in Japan. The twins are curious about it, and then Takumi declares that they will make their own fancy bread and dessert bread. The kids are also eager to help him out, even though they don't know what he is talking about. Later, they go to a local bakery and meet the baker Road and his daughter there. Takumi tells the baker that he is not here to buy anything but to ask for a favor. He takes out a jar of jam and another jar of custard cream, before asking Road if he can put them inside bread before baking it. The baker is surprised to hear about the novel idea, but he has never done anything like this before, so he doesn't have much confidence. Takumi decides to show him how it is done, and he wears his apron and gets to work. He cuts and rolls the dough before putting some jam inside it, and Rode realizes that it was much easier than he thought. He perfectly creates some jam-filled bread dough and then decides to move on to custard cream as well. He asks his daughter to help, and the twins also volunteer to help. Rode is pleased to hear that, and he tells Takumi that he will also have to help them. Takumi has no problem with that, and he also brings out sweet red bean paste to create some breads filled with it. Soon, they start working together, with Takumi and Rode rolling the dough while others fill it with jam and custard. Soon, the breads are done, and everyone enjoys their delicious taste. Rode wants to sell them at his shop, and he offers to give Takumi a huge cut of the profit. However, Takumi refuses to take anything because he doesn't believe in capitalism, and he is satisfied if he can just eat something that reminds him of home. He then asks the twins if they like the breads, and they say that it was so yummy that they need more. The next day, Takumi hits the guild where Luna congratulates him for rising to E rank. He checks his stats to find that he is level 13 now, and Luna tells him that he is progressing very speedily. The receptionist then asks him if he is interested in going to the dungeons. Takumi had learnt from Syl that there are 108 dungeons in this world, filled with various types of monsters and rewards. Luna informs him that there is a dungeon not far away from the city, which is of quite low difficulty. Takumi decides to immediately check it out because the kids are also excited about it. Luna warns him that it will take him more than a week to conquer the dungeon, but he assures her that they are just going to check out the first 2 floors today. Fast forward a few hours, and Takumi and his twins are already on the 3rd floor. While the dungeon is like a maze, Alan and Elena have a remarkable knack of finding the correct direction to move in, which makes their progress very rapid. Takumi also notices that they always point in the same direction, and thinks that it must be because twins work in mysterious ways. Meanwhile, Takumi reads some information about the dungeon that is called an Earth Dungeon, and only ground-type monsters are found there. Just then, a mole monster emerges from the ground in front of them. Takumi reads information about it and tells the twins that it is a weak monster, but they have already finished the poor monster by then. The mole's body vanishes, surprising the twins, and Takumi explains that the defeated monsters in the dungeon vanish, but they leave behind an item drop that can be very valuable sometimes. The kids begin searching for the item drop, and they find a whisker of the mole, which Takumi believes is not worth anything at all. They keep on exploring the dungeon, and then Takumi suddenly tells the kids that they have explored enough for today and now it is time for dinner. For that purpose, he has brought a portable magic cooktop along with him, and he cooks up a hot pot using the ingredients in his inventory. Everyone enjoys the dinner, and then they rest inside the protective barrier. The next day, they hunt some more monsters, eat dinner, and then sleep. Following this routine, they reach the 10th floor of the dungeon in a few days. Takumi finds a hidden door there, and he unlocks it to find a treasure chest. The kids are excited to open it, but Takumi knows that the treasure chests can also have traps inside them. So he checks it out using his skills and gives his kids the green signal. They excitedly open the treasure box and find 2 potions inside it. One of them is a stamina potion and the other is a mana potion. They are not worth much, but Takumi believes that they will be helpful in the future. Just then, the kids notice a giant ape monster behind them, and they instantly defeat it before it can attack. Takumi thanks them for saving him, and then finds that the ape dropped his hide while disappearing. He thinks that it may be a somewhat rare item, and the kids are really happy to hear that. Next, they find a baby onyx monster, and since it is poisonous, Takumi decides to deal with it himself. He throws a stone to blind the monster and then finishes it off with his wind cutter skill. Soon after that, they run into some giant bees, and Takumi lets the twins fight them. The twins attack the bees, but they are too agile for them. They keep running away and the twins keep chasing them. Takumi wants to help, but then he notices that the kids are enjoying chasing after the bees because it is a game of tag for them. In the meantime, he decides to sort the loot from the dungeon. Just then, the twins beat the giant honeybees, and the item drop they receive is a vial of honey. Since honey is expensive in the city, Takumi tells them that they should defeat all the giant bees they find. Soon, it is time for dinner, and Takumi prepares French toast using eggs and honey he just found. Everyone enjoys the dinner, but the giant bees come swarming towards them because of the scent of honey. Takumi tells the twins to keep eating while he takes down the bees using his skills. The more bees he kills, the more come towards him. The twins also join in on the action, and soon they collect a lot of honey. A couple days later, Takumi and the twins finally arrive at the 15th floor of the dungeon, which is also the deepest floor here. They stand in front of the majestic door leading to the boss room, and the door opens automatically to let them in. The door closes behind them just as they enter the room, and then a giant earthworm monster appears there with a flash of red light. Takumi tells Alan and Elena to stay behind and let him handle everything. He attacks the earthworm with Wind Cutter, but it dodges the attack quickly, and then counterattacks by shooting stones at Takumi. Takumi dodges his attacks and then nullifies them with wind shots, which creates dust that blinds the monster. Using this chance, Takumi defeats the boss monster with a wind arrow, receiving a fang, a magic stone, and some meat as a drop. The twins cling to his feet, asking if he is done, and he puts the items in his inventory. Alan and Elena suddenly start patting his head to tell him that he did good, and Takumi is moved. After that, they enter the teleportation room connected to the boss room so that they can reach the top floor instantly. The twins notice a treasure box which contains fire bombs, and while Takumi is wondering how powerful can they be, the twins start playing with them. Takumi hurriedly puts them away, and then they use the teleportation device to reach outside. Takumi says that they should return to the city now, but the twins point towards a dog in the distance. Takumi can tell that it is a wolf and not a dog, but by the way it is wagging its tail and seeing how the twins are not guarded against it, he realizes that the wolf is not dangerous. He appraises it to be sure, and finds that it is an S-rank monster called Fenrir. What is more surprising is that it is mentioned that it is Takumi's contracted beast. Takumi immediately knows that it must be Sill's work, and he calls the monster towards him. The wolf monster is quite smart and follows all of Takumi's instructions perfectly, and then looks at him with cute puppy eyes. As Takumi pats the wolf, the twins nudge at him, because they also want to give him their paw like the wolf to earn his praise. However, the wolf gets jealous of this and pounces on Takumi. Soon, Alan and Elena get friendly with the wolf, whom Takumi decides to name Jewel. After that, they reach the city, and Takumi asks Jewel to hide in his shadow because he can't take an S-rank monster like him inside. Jewel obeys and hides in the shadow using dark magic. Soon, Takumi reaches the church to talk to Sill, who is really excited to talk to him. However, Takumi gets to business and asks if he sent the contracted beast to him. Sill begins throwing a tantrum because apparently another god sent the contracted beast to Takumi, when he wanted to be the first one to do that. He reveals that it is actually the head of the god of water's household that sent the Fenrir wolf to Takumi as a thanks. Takumi puts two and two together, and he is certain that Alan and Elena must be related to the god of water somehow. Anyway, Sill tells him that he is going to send a familiar to him tomorrow, and threatens Takumi with divine punishment if he doesn't accept it. The next day, Takumi, the twins and Jewel head to the grasslands as Sill told them, and a white tiger and a golden hawk suddenly appear before them. Takumi reads their status and finds that the white tiger is an S-rank monster with wind attribute because Sill is the god of wind. The golden hawk is a rank monster with power over thunder. On the insistence of the twins, Takumi names the tiger as Feet and the hawk as Bolt. The twins get chummy with their new friends when Takumi remembers that the gods also sent some collars for them. Feet and Jewel can shrink their size and become a regular cat and dog because of the collar, and seeing that, Alan and Ellen also want one. Takumi tries telling them that they can't wear collars because they are only for animals, and promises to buy them something else later. However, the god of water immediately sends him two pendants with a feather design, and the twins are happy on receiving them. The pendants have magic attack resistance, and the two rings along with it give them physical attack resistance and act as their GPS tracker. The gods have also sent magic bags for the twins that can hold a lot of items and are really convenient. With that, Takumi decides to return to the city. He tells Feet and Jewel to stay in their tiny forms and asks Bolt to hide in his shadow. Once inside the city, Elena is captivated by some soft toys in a store, so Takumi decides to pay it a visit. After that, he goes to another store, where he is captivated by the fancy fabrics, and he purchases one of them to create ribbons for Elena. She looks really cute in them, so Takumi decides to buy more ribbons. Elena chooses the black ribbon, saying that it is the color of her elder brother, and the shopkeeper deduces that she must mean the color of Takumi's hair. Takumi buys the ribbon for her, but Alan doesn't seem to want anything here. They are about to leave, but then the shopkeeper stops them and requests Takumi to let the kids try out some clothes she has designed. The kids try out all the cute clothes, and Takumi decides to purchase the ones they like the most. At night, they sleep together with their pets on their bed too. Takumi wants to get something for Alan too, but the only things he knows that interest boys are modern inventions, and they don't have them here. He decides to think about it tomorrow and falls asleep. The next morning, Takumi gets ready to enter the expedition into the forest that Vault had signed him up for. He reaches the gates of the city where Vault is overseeing the final preparations. Takumi greets him, and he remarks that the kids are here too, but he already knew that Takumi would bring them along. Just then, Vault's vice captain, Isaac, arrives there and greets Takumi. He apologizes on the behalf of the captain who forced him to take up the expedition quest, but Takumi simply replies that it will be a good experience for them. He is also worried about the twins, but Vault tells him that everything is fine because the kids are strong. However, the twins seem to be oddly scared of him, and they don't like him even when Takumi assures that Vault is a good guy. They begin heading towards their carriage, when suddenly, Takumi feels a hostile gaze on them. The twins have also noticed it, but they don't have the time to find the person staring at them, because they have to start moving. They travel to the outskirts of the forest using carriages, where Vault explains the plans for the expedition that is going to last 5 days. He then introduces Takumi to the adventurer Rudolph, who leads the party called Dragon Breath. Vault tells Takumi that Rudd is actually an A-rank adventurer, who is going to be higher up the chain of command this time. They begin venturing into the forest, when the twins feel the presence of a monster who is approaching them. Takumi alerts Vault and others about it, but they don't see anything. Rudd asks his teammate if he can find anything using the detect skill, but he replies that there is nothing nearby. The detect skill is an active skill that locates others by releasing the magic of the user over a wide area. However, Alan and Elena use the passive skill called Perception that immediately identifies anything with hostile intentions as soon as it enters their range. Takumi knows that the twins have a very wide range for their perception skill, so he is confident that the monster will soon appear before them. Just then, the adventurer detects a monster, and everyone gets ready for action. A lone red wolf comes out in front of them, and before anyone can take action, the twins happily runs towards it and kill it with a couple of kicks. Everyone is aghast as they drag the dead wolf back with them, and Takumi regrets not telling them to restrain themselves earlier. He pats their heads and then asks them to let the adults handle the monsters today, when suddenly Vault comes there. He is angry at Takumi and demands an explanation for what just happened, because the kids defeated a C-rank monster. Takumi tells him that the twins are really strong and he saw them defeat a C-rank adventurer before. He also reminds him that he found the twins in the forest, and they were surviving here all by themselves before that. Everyone is shocked to learn about this, but they quickly accept the fact and start moving again. The twins spot something and run to find it, and as the worried Takumi comes after them, they show him a magic grass they have to collect for a quest. He praises them, but then tells them not to get separated from the group because they need to move together and fast. The kids are disappointed, so they innocently ask Vault if they can't move freely. He can't resist their cuteness, so he tells them that it is fine as long as they don't fall behind. The twins are happy, and they immediately run to a huge rock and call Takumi there. They point towards the slimy rock moss, which is also a medicinal ingredient. Vault asks what does the moss do, and Isaac explains that it is really helpful with treating itches. Vault has athlete's foot, so he immediately rushes to pick as much moss as he can. But Isaac stops him and tells him that if he picks it carelessly the spores will burst and he will get rashes. He begins nagging at the captain for not acting on instinct alone, and a knight tells Takumi that this happens every time Vault makes a mistake. Anyway, Takumi carefully harvests the moss from the rocks, but Isaac is still lecturing Vault. The knight says that it may take another hour or so before he is done, but Takumi pities the knight captain. So he whispers something to the twins, and they immediately go to Isaac and tug at his robe. They offer him a bag of the moss they harvested, and as he thanks and praises them, Vault uses the chance to escape. Soon, they come across a group of orcs led by a high orc. Rudd decides to take on the high orc, while the rest of the people decide to divide the orcs among them. Takumi says that he will take on one orc alone, but Vault warns him that it will be dangerous. However, the battle immediately starts, and Takumi slashes an orc in half with his wind cutter. The others take longer to defeat their opponents, and when they are done, Vault immediately hits Takumi on the head, as he demands to know how could he defeat an orc in one hit. The twins are angry at him, so Vault lets him down, but he still is on his edge that Takumi could defeat an orc in one hit that no one else in their group. He says that it must be a mistake on the guild's part that he is only an F-rank adventurer, but Takumi corrects him, saying that he is an E-rank now. Vault tells him that it doesn't change anything, and then immediately turns to Rudd and asks him to tell the guild master to increase Takumi's rank once they reach the city. He affirms, and Takumi asks if that is possible. Rudd tells him that with the recommendation of a high-ranking adventurer and the guild master's approval, the rank of an adventurer can be raised significantly. However, Isaac points out that orcs are not found in this region of the forest, and he believes that their presence here is some sort of ill omen. He advises everyone to be more cautious as they move ahead, and Vault agrees, but the twins dismiss the tense air by asking Takumi for snacks. They decide to take a break and Takumi gives the stuffed bread to the kids. Vault is flabbergasted as he sees the bread with the kids and asks Takumi where did he get the illusory bread that is limited to only 20 pieces a day at the bakery, and no one even knows when the sale starts. Takumi informs him that the baker personally made a lot for them, but he doesn't explain his reasons to the captain. Vault earnestly approaches the twins and asks them to share the bread with him, but they become hostile, and even Takumi intervenes, asking him not to take food from the kids. Vault is disappointed, and now others are also craving the special bread, so Takumi sighs and decides to empty his reserves of the bread. Everyone relishes the bread that fills them with energy, and they resume their journey with that. Just then, they see a red flare in the sky, which means another group is asking them for help. Vault commands everyone to run towards the signal, but also asks them to conserve energy because they might need to fight once they reach the second group. Takumi says that they must hurry, and for that, he decides to go on ahead with the twins. Vault thinks it is not a good idea, but Takumi has already used a wind skill that takes him towards the second group at tremendous speed. He notices that the group is injured and they are surrounded by bloody wolves that are a higher rank version of the red wolves. Takumi immediately brings out a katana he received from the water god and jumps ahead, slashing down the bloody wolves with ease. The twins also support him by taking down other wolves. Soon, Vault and his group arrive there, and they can't believe that Takumi took down the bloody wolves himself. He begins patting his with sufficient strength while saying that he is stronger than he looks, but this makes the kids angry. Isaac takes this chance and tells them that if the captain does anything funny the next time, they can just kick him away, and the twins are happy to oblige. Takumi also gives them the go-ahead, but asks them to hold back their power a bit. Everyone laughs as Vault panics, but then suddenly, Takumi and the twins feel the unnerving gaze from earlier. The twins are scared and run into Takumi's arms, and he wonders who is the person staring at them with such hostile intentions. At night, Takumi watches in disdain as he sees the knights have no idea about cooking. They are throwing huge unclean chunks of meat into the soup, which is only seasoned with salt. Takumi expresses concern, but Vault tells him not to get so technical because they are all knights and they can't cook for their lives. Takumi then turns to the adventurers, and naturally, he turns to the girl in the group to ask if she can't cook. Another adventurer says that he would prefer to starve rather than eat her cooking, and everyone starts laughing. However, Takumi can't let the twins eat lousily made food, so he tells them to wait for a bit, and then goes to Vault, saying that he will also help them out. He dons his apron and grabs some wild vegetables, tells the knights to chop the meat into smaller parts, and then creates some broth for the soup. He is tired at the end of it, but the food turns out quite good, and the knights and adventurers praise Takumi from the depth of their hearts. The next morning, they stare at him with expectant eyes, so he is forced to make breakfast for them as well. Suddenly, he feels the hostile gaze on them again, and comforts the twins who are now scared. They continue their journey after that, and Vault discusses with Rudd that the forest is definitely strange. Takumi is curious to learn about it, but the leader of the group he saved yesterday decides to thank him first. He reveals that he is Farius, the third captain of the Knight Order, and Takumi asks him if he is fit enough to move again. Discussing the monster ambush yesterday, Vault and Farius talk about how they faced powerful monsters in the shallow parts of the forest yesterday, but today, as they are going in deeper, they have yet to face any monster. Between his concern for this issue and his constant wariness about the hostile gaze, Takumi and the twins don't realize that a powerful monster was near them until it is very late. Alan and Ellen are the first to notice it, and when they show Takumi the huge snake monster on the trees above them, he panics and immediately warns everyone. Vault recognizes the monster as the evil viper, and he immediately orders everyone to retreat. However, the monster cuts their escape route and attacks the knights to keep them in their place. Alan and Ellen want to fight the monster, but Takumi asks them to stay away from it, as he shoots the wind cutter at it. The evil viper dodges that, but then Vault uses rock spikes to immobilize it temporarily. Rudd realizes that this powerful monster was the cause of all anomalies in the forest. He tells all the injured people to get back to safety, and Vault orders Isaac to treat them. Rudd and his team attack the viper, but its scales are too hard for their weapons to pierce. The viper attacks the knights with its tail, taking many of them down at once. Vault panics, but still tries to keep the snake at bay. The snake suddenly decides to change its strategy and attacks the area where the wounded are being treated. Vault immediately alerts Isaac about it, but luckily, Takumi uses a wind cutter to bring down a tree that falls upon the viper. Meanwhile, Takumi tells Isaac to lead the injured further back. Two adventurers fire a light and fire spell at the giant viper simultaneously, but despite the huge explosion, the monster is not harmed. The monster gets ready to attack again, when suddenly, Takumi notices the twins clinging onto it. He panics as the viper tries attacking them, but thanks to his quick thinking, he is able to summon a knife and throw it at the viper's eye, dealing some serious damage to him. As the viper writhes in pain, Takumi thinks they are saved, but then he feels the disturbing gaze once again. The twins feel that too, and they are distracted by it, which gives the viper the chance to smack them away with its tail. Takumi is worried about them, and the adventurer girl goes to check up on them immediately, but they look completely fine. Rudd also tries to assure Takumi that the twins are fine, but he is looking quite gloomy and serious. He asks Rudd to buy him some time, because he is going to use an advanced level wind magic that he has never used before, but he is confident that he will not fail. Rudd decides to place his faith in him, and Takumi asks him to immediately retreat and get behind him once he gives the signal. Rudd and others begin attacking the giant viper with that, while Takumi concentrates his magic into a sphere. He is unsure about how much magic power the advanced spell needs, but he thinks that it will be enough. He gives the signal, and Rudd immediately tells everyone to retreat. Takumi then fires the advanced spell wind edge towards the viper, and hits it head-on. The monster tries to push forward, but Takumi's spell overwhelms it and slashes it into many small pieces. As the dust settles, Takumi looks at the cut parts of the evil viper, but he still can't process that he won. He immediately learns that his attack was too powerful, because the trees near them have also been sliced in half because of it. Everyone hurriedly gets away from the trees, and Takumi nervously says that he put a little more magic in it than required. Rudd is more troubled than impressed by his abilities, but he warns Takumi to collect the blood of the evil viper before it is spilled, because it is a very precious resource. Just then, the twins come running to Takumi and praise him. He thanks and hugs them, asking if they are injured. They tell him that they are completely fine, and even the adventurer girl can attest to that. Takumi thanks her anyway, and then looks at Alan and Elena, who are playing with the cut trees without a care in the world. Suddenly, he feels the hostile gaze once again, but this time, he has found out the person behind it. He goes straight to one corner and slams a knight on the ground before pointing his blade at him. Vault panics and asks what is he doing, and Takumi tells him to ask the same question to his knight. The knight named Sage says that he did nothing wrong, and Takumi tells him to stop lying because he could clearly tell that the killing intent earlier was from him. Even Rudd can attest to the fact that Sage had been staring at Takumi and the twins needlessly ever since they left on the expedition. Sage suddenly snaps on being cornered by everyone and says that it is all Takumi's fault for stealing Vault's attention. Takumi doesn't understand what is going on, and Isaac explains that Sage is actually romantically invested in the captain. Takumi asks Vault if he is gay, but he denies it and says that he likes girls. Sage begins pestering him to give him a chance, and Takumi says that everything happened because of Vault's fling. Anyway, the matter is somehow resolved. Vault and Isaac apologize to Takumi for all the trouble and ask him to leave the punishment of Sage to them. He agrees because the twins were not harmed badly, but he also warns Sage that he won't be forgiven a second time. Once that is out of the way, Rudd and others come to Takumi and ask him to cook dinner for them. He has no problem doing that, but he is still skeptical about feeding the knights, even though most of them had nothing to do with Sage. However, since the twins want to eat with the knights, Takumi can't complain. He begins cooking with the help of everyone, and later, Takumi checks out his stats while eating. He finds that he has leveled up a lot after defeating the monsters, and just then, Vault comes there to apologize to him once again. Takumi tells him that it is all water under the bridge, and even the twins ask him to sit down. Vault then informs them that he has decided to end the expedition early because they have sustained many injuries. They will return to the city tomorrow, and he asks Takumi to collect his reward from the guild. The next day, as soon as Takumi reaches the guild, the receptionist Luna excitedly drags him to meet the guild master Johan, who has received recommendations to increase Takumi's rank from Rudd and Vault. He plans to give him the A rank immediately, and Luna gets too excited as she hears about Takumi's promotion. Johan believes that according to the monsters Takumi has defeated, he should get an S rank, but he can't award him that. Takumi tells him that even the A rank is above his expectations. Johan then asks him what does he plan to do about the twins, because even though they are strong, some people may bear ill will against them if they suddenly become high-ranking adventurers. However, leaving that at lower rank will reduce the party rank, and they can't make full use of their talents. Takumi suggests Johan to increase the kids' rank to D, which brings their party rank to C. Johan likes the idea and immediately sends Luna to complete the paperwork. Luna updates their adventure licenses as well, but she is shocked as she reads that Takumi and the twins have already cleared the dungeon. She thinks that they have established a new record and wants to declare it to the entire guild. But Takumi asks her to keep it a secret, because excessive attention may harm Alan and Elena. Luna agrees, so she just updates their licenses and gives them the reward money from the expedition. Takumi is about to leave, but Luna stops him because the thing she wants the most has not yet been discussed. She has already heard about Takumi defeating the evil Viper and bloody wolves, and she really wants the rare materials he has got from them. He tells her that it will be problematic to sell them here, but Luna has already prepared a large warehouse for their deal. He brings out the pieces of the evil Viper in the warehouse and tells Luna that he plans to keep some parts for himself. She panics as she asks him how much he wants, and he tells her that he doesn't need much. Luna says that the guild would like it if he could sell 2/3 of the Viper's body to them, and he agrees to do that. After that, Takumi gives her the various other items he has collected in the forest, and seeing the greedy nature of Luna on seeing the materials, the twins get scared. Anyway, the deal is completed, and they head back to their lodging. Because of the pent-up exhaustion from the expedition, Takumi falls asleep as soon as he hits the bed, with the twins and his contracted monsters watching over him. Soon after that, Takumi starts teaching math to the twins. After they successfully count to 10, he teaches them that the value of the large copper coin is 10 times the value of the small copper coin, and a silver coin is worth 10 times a large copper coin. He gives them a counting problem to figure out how to combine large and small copper coins, and the twins correctly calculate the answer. They are starting to enjoy math and ask Takumi to give them another problem. He teaches them about addition, and the twins grasp that topic instantly too. With that, Takumi says that they should go to the market to try out their math skills now. They go to a fruit vendor, and Takumi asks the twins to try purchasing some fruits on their own. They buy the fruits from the shopkeeper lady and give her the exact amount, earning praise for being smart. The lady also tells Takumi that he did a great job in teaching the kids so well. Both the twins are happy that they were able to purchase things on their own, and they go on their way with that. Takumi stores the fruits in his inventory, and then tells the kids that he wants to go to the bookstore now. The twins are amazed to see so many books, but Takumi is looking for a book that can teach him about water magic that he has recently acquired. He picks a book on the topic and begins reading it, but seeing how curious the twins look, he tells them about alphabets and words. He asks if they want to learn them too, and they are very eager to do so. Just then, the old shopkeeper comes there and tells them that they have picture books for children to help them learn to read faster. Takumi thanks her, and the twins follow. The old lady tells Takumi that he taught the kids nicely, and he gets a little flustered. The next day, they go to the guild and take up a quest to find a lost cat. Luna approves their quest and tells them that the deadline for the quest is 2 days. They begin searching the area where the cat was last seen, and Takumi summons his contracted monsters in their tiny form from his shadow. He asks them to help with finding the cat, and the pet monsters are happy to help. Everyone begins to look for the cat, but they don't find her, and at the end, the twins are really dejected. Takumi takes them to a different location, and they find different cats there, but not the one they were looking for. The twins are really upset now, but when Takumi asks them if they want to give up the search, they refuse. He asks them which direction they want to go to, and everyone unanimously points towards the same direction. Jewel manages to sniff out a cat, and as the black cat named Mina comes out of hiding, Takumi realizes that she is the one they are looking for. The kids are excited to see the cat, but Takumi tells them to approach her slowly or she will be afraid. The twins go towards Mina as slowly as they can, but the cat seems really wary of them. However, as the twins dangle their feather locket in front of the cat, while calling her name, she walks towards them. Takumi holds her and confirms that she is the one they were looking for after reading her name on the collar. The cat looks hungry, so the twins insist Takumi feed it. He brings out milk and a bowl from his inventory to feed the cat, and she immediately laps it all up. Following that, they take the cat back to the guild and reunite it with her owner, who is really happy and grateful. She thanks Takumi and the twins and then heads home, and the twins seem to be dazed after watching her so happy. Takumi tells them that they should also head home, but they latch on to him, saying that they want to keep searching. He is taken aback, but asks Luna if there are any other quests to search for lost pets. She looks through the quest list and tells him that there is only one quest open for them right now, and it might not be suited for the twins. The quest is to hunt some goblins that are appearing outside a nearby village and hurting the villagers and their livestock. Luna says that hunting goblins is hard for low-level adventurers, and it doesn't pay well either, so middle-rank adventurers also avoid it. Takumi asks the twins if they will settle for hunting some goblins, and the first question they ask him is if the goblins are tasty. He nervously tells them that they don't look tasty at all, and then they head to complete the quest. They ride on the back of the contracted monsters and quickly reach their destination. Takumi asks Jewel and Feet to get smaller so that they can enter the village. The guards are initially hostile to see some strange faces, but as Takumi tells them that he has come from the Adventurer Guild, their attitude mellows, and they lead them inside to meet the village chief. Takumi remarks that the village is very well guarded, and the soldier tells him that they are often attacked multiple times a day by goblins. Soon, they reach the chief's house, who is really grateful that they accepted his request. Takumi asks him to tell more in detail about the goblins, but the village chief wants to know when the rest of his friends will arrive. Takumi tells him that it is just the three of them, and the chief asks if they will be fine on their own. Takumi understands that they don't look strong at all, so he displays the A-rank adventurer card to the village chief, telling him that they can handle the goblins on their own. The chief apologizes for his rudeness, and then suddenly, a guard comes there to alert him of a goblin attack. Takumi gets ready to take action, and the chief asks if he is going to take the twins with him too. Takumi replies that rather than leaving them somewhere else, he wants them within his eyesight so that he can keep them safe, but that is just an excuse. The goblins chase the villagers outside, and one lady falls to the ground. Just as a goblin is about to attack her, Takumi kills it with an air shot, and then helps the woman up before telling her to run away to safety. The twins also want to hunt goblins, so Takumi tells them to go ahead but be careful. His pets also want to join in on the action, and he asks them to stay in their small form throughout. Soon, the twins begin punching and kicking the goblins, the dog bites them, the tiger slashes them, and the bird zaps them with electricity. Just then, a huge goblin comes there, and Takumi uses his appraisal skill to find that it is a goblin soldier, which is a high-ranking variant. He plans to handle it personally, but the twins get the jump on him and take down the goblin soldier with a combined attack. They finish hunting all the goblins quickly, and Takumi doesn't get to do anything. As he praises the kids, he suddenly hears a third voice besides them. Takumi wonders what is happening, when suddenly, he finds that he is hearing Jewel's voice, who can talk to him through telepathy after defeating some goblins. Jewel is really happy that he can talk to his master now, but Takumi doesn't want to be called master. He asks the pup to call him by his name, but he doesn't want that. The twins suggest that he calls Takumi Big Bro like they do, and Jewel likes the idea. Feet and Bolt can also talk through telepathy now, and they also agree to call Takumi their big brother. He finds that Feet is a female, while the rest two are males. The three monsters tell the twins that they will get along better from now on, and the twins are happy because they were teaching them words earlier. Takumi praises the twins for that, but now his pets also wants to be praised by him. As he pats them, the twins suddenly sense a fire in the distance, and Bolt leaves to check it out. Takumi thinks that he should put it out with water magic. Last night, he stayed up late to read the book of basic magic. And using what he learned, Takumi shoots a water ball at the fire, but it flops and falls on the ground midway. He tries again, but the result is still same, so he decides to put more mana into it the next time. However, even with twice the power, his water ball falls on the ground halfway. Defeated, Takumi asks Jewel to handle it, and he douses the fire with a decent water ball instantly. Takumi is disappointed in himself, but the twins pat his head to comfort him. After that, they leave the village, get their reward from the guild, and then head home. Takumi was hoping that the kids would be tired after running around all day, but they were full of energy and asked him to read them a picture book. He tells them about the various types of fishes in the sea, but both the terms are alien to the twins. Takumi thinks that they have never seen the sea before, so he decides to show it to them. 3 days later, Takumi calls Vault and Isaac to his house to tell them that he is going to leave the city soon so that he can show the kids the whole wide world. Isaac asks if he has a destination in mind, and Takumi says that he is going to visit the port city of Bailey in South. Vault is relieved that Takumi is still within the kingdom, because he wants to count on him if they face any sudden problem with monsters. The next day, Takumi and the twins go on a round of the city to bid farewell to everyone who helped them. Luna gets emotional on learning that they are going away, and while Takumi thinks that she might have feelings for him, she just wants him to come back later with a lot of rare materials. Next, they visit the Baker Road and his daughter to tell them that they are going on an adventure. He asks them if they can make a lot of bread for them to take along on their journey, and he asks them which one they want. Takumi tells them that he wants the cream bun and the red bean bun, along with a couple of new varieties. After that, he visits the clothing shop and buys cute summer outfits for the twins, and the shopkeeper doesn't charge anything as she gives the clothes away as gifts. Finally, Takumi goes to the church to visit Sil, who is already quite upset that Takumi didn't come to visit him in a long time. Takumi then informs him about his decision of moving to the port town and says that he will contact him through the temple once he reaches there. However, just as they are about to leave the city, a big fat man comes there and tells them to stop, saying that the twins are his property. The twins suddenly remember the day they were being transported along with other slaves, and monsters attacked their carriage. The fat man tried throwing one of them as a decoy for the monsters, but the other clung on tightly, and he ended up throwing both of them out to face the monsters. Alan and Elena are still terrified of him, and they cling tightly to Takumi. If the fat bastard tells Takumi to return his property to him, and he uses his appraisal skill to learn that the fat man is a slave trader. The angry fat man begins yelling, causing Alan and Elena to shiver in fear, but Takumi pats their heads and tells them that there is no need to worry. He tells the slave merchant that these twins are his siblings, and he should not be rude to them, but the bastard says that he can't mistake the twins for anyone else because they are so unique. Takumi connects all the dots in his mind and realizes that the merchant must have thrown the twins out of the carriage in the forest as decoys so that he could escape. He knows that slavery is legal in this country, but the slaves are marked with a magic pattern to depict their status, and the twins don't have it. Either way, Takumi is not going to let Alan and Elena get taken away, and he tells Fatty to stop talking nonsense. When Fatty doesn't stop, Takumi gets ready to throw hands, but he calms himself down because beating the bastard comes later, and he must protect the twins first. Just then, the city guards come running towards the commotion, and the slave trader asks them to arrest Takumi, who has stolen his merchandise. Takumi cleverly points out that the twins don't have the mark of a slave on them, and Fatty has no proof that they are his slaves. He then accuses him of trying to kidnap them by using a fake story, and the fat bastard panics. Just then, Vault and Isaac come there, and after listening to everything, they arrest Fatty instead. They even testify that Alan and Elena are really Takumi's siblings, so that they will never get marked as slaves again. Takumi tells them that no one is going to take them away from him now, and the twins immediately hug him. With that, it is time for them to leave the city. Isaac gives Takumi a letter of introduction to the Lord of Bailey and asks him to reach out to the Lord if he faces any trouble. The twins stay depressed on the way too, so Takumi takes them to the forest and summons his pets to help them cheer up. Alan and Elena smile for a bit after seeing their furry friends, but they soon return to being gloomy. After that, they ride on feet and Jewel and Bolt keeps a watch on the surroundings from the sky. Soon, they come across a bloody bear, and the three contracted monsters ask Takumi to let them handle it. Bolt blinds the bear, and then Feet and Jewel kill it in one hit. Just then, the twins spot another bear behind them, and the S-rank monsters easily defeat it too. The twins pat them, but just as the pet monsters are about to lick them, Takumi orders them to stop because their mouths are dirty from hunting the monsters. He uses a cleaning magic to instantly clean their bodies, and the pet monsters start playing with the twins. This helps them cheer up, and they quickly get through the forest. They set up camp, and Takumi decides to cook egg fried rice for the twins. The pet monsters also want to eat that, so Takumi prepares a lot of food, and everyone enjoys it together. After that, they sleep under a barrier, and as Takumi looks at the two moons in the sky, he is once again reminded that he is in a fantasy world. He thinks about the events that have happened since he came here, and then falls asleep. The next morning, they resume their journey and soon arrive at the ocean. The twins are mesmerized by the vast expanse of water, and they frolic with the waves. Takumi tells them that the water is salty, so they should not drink it, but the twins tell him that they want to drink it. To let them satisfy their curiosity, he tells them to dip a finger and then taste it. Alan and Elena do just that, and they instantly regret it because of the intense salty taste. After that, they start playing with the pet monsters while Takumi gazes at the calm ocean. Suddenly, he hears a voice calling to him and finds a girl in the water. He thinks she is drowning, so he rushes towards her, searching for something to help her within his inventory. The girl, however, is quite comfortable in water, and she calls Takumi by his name, leaving him shocked. The girl introduces herself as a mermaid named Elena, and the stunned Takumi finds that she is speaking the truth as he looks at her status window. Elena tells Takumi that a servant of the water god told her about him, and he wonders if it is the same guy that sent him all the items earlier. Just then, the twins also arrive there, and Elena knows their names too. The twins are a bit scared of her, so Takumi asks her what is her business with him. Elena says that her village is facing a problem, and the servant of the water god told them that Takumi can help them. She asks him to accompany her to their village, but Takumi freaks out as he explains that he can't breathe underwater. The bigger reason for his panic is that he doesn't know how to swim. He suddenly realizes that his stats in this life are much higher than that on Earth, so maybe he can swim here. As for the twins, he believes that they will learn to swim perfectly right off the bat. Elena breaks his chain of thoughts by saying that he doesn't need to worry about anything. She sends 3 bracelets towards him, and Takumi learns that these special bracelets can help humans breathe underwater. He agrees to visit the mermaid village, but tells Elena that he might not be able to solve their problem. She replies that it will be fine either way and asks him to hurry up. Takumi asks his pets to go back into his shadow, and then puts the bracelets around the twins' wrists. They dive into the ocean with that, and Takumi finds out that he can breathe and talk underwater thanks to the bracelets. The twins have already started swimming properly, so Takumi decides to give it a try too. He flails his hands and legs too hard without making much progress and bumps into Elena. He is smitten as he sees her mermaid tail, but then snaps out of it as she leads him to her village. On the way, Takumi asks her about the types of monsters found in the ocean. She tells him that there are some hammerhead sharks and sand crabs that may be a nuisance, and just then, a hammerhead shark attacks them. Alan and Elena rush ahead to deal with it, and they defeat the shark with just one kick. Just after that, they notice a sand crab, so they rush to fight it too. They grab the crab's claws and slam it against a wall for an instant victory. Elena is amazed by their strength, and Takumi realizes that being inside water is not a disadvantage to the twins at all. They keep swimming ahead and cross an invisible barrier to reach the mermaid village. Takumi is mesmerized by it and finds that it is made up of the crystallized energy of the ocean. Elena tells Takumi to check out their problem first before reaching the village, and he agrees. She takes him behind the village and shows him a giant sunken ship that is blocking the way to the cave where the mermaids grow coral. Elena says that despite their best efforts, the mermaids could not get the ship to move. But then their priestess heard the voice of the servant of the water god who said that Takumi could help them. Takumi thinks that he can just put the entire ship in his inventory, and tells Elena that the problem will be solved in an instant. He puts the ship into his inventory and learns that it is called Dietland. Suddenly, the entire village arrives there, and 2 mermaids enter the cave to check on the corals. Elena tells Takumi that the corals they grow in the cave are really important for making medicines, and without them, their village would have gone extinct. She thanks Takumi and then takes him to meet their high priestess, so he calls Alan and Elena with him. They enter the mermaid village and stop in front of the high priestess's door. as Elena knocks on the door and informs the priestess about the guests. The door opens and a cheerful and cute mermaid welcomes Takumi and the twins. Takumi is smitten by the priestess, who looks like a princess straight out of a fairy tale, and the twins also say that she is really pretty. Takumi nervously greets the priestess, but she asks him to talk freely with her because she is the one who is honored to meet him. She explains that even the servant of the water god called Takumi their savior, and Elena adds that he has already solved the problem of the sunken ship. The priestess is really delighted and hails Takumi as the savior of mermaids as well, but he is confused about what the servant of the water god told the priestess. He nervously asks her what she heard from the water god's servants, and the priestess assures him that he has nothing to worry about. Apart from her, only Elena and the old merman know that the water god's servant spoke about Takumi, and they are going to keep everything a secret. The priestess then gets too close to Takumi, saying that she has heard a lot of great things about him. He is uncomfortable by her directness, and the old guy named Galdo asks the priestess to be mindful of their guest's private space. The priestess is taken aback by his words, and then introduces Galdo as the chief of the mermaids. She explains that while she is supposed to be the leader of the mermaid village as the high priestess, her position is just like a figurehead. After sulking about how she doesn't want to do her job, the priestess turns cheerful again as she tells Takumi that she must give him a reward now. He acts humble and says that there is no need for that, but the priestess insists on paying him for his help. Takumi recalls how he failed at using water magic earlier, so he asks her if she can help him learn it. He explains that despite having a skill, he can't use it well, and the kids have never tried their hands at magic. Galdo offers to be their teacher, and the priestess says that she will give him another reward as well. Takumi refuses, but the priestess is too firm in her stance. Suddenly, Elena gives her an idea, and the priestess tells Takumi that the reward is something that is useless for the mermaids, but he will find it valuable. She takes him to a nearby place where Takumi sees a bunch of random things found in the ocean. He uses his appraisal skill to find seaweed that can act as an excellent medicine in fevers, shells that can be ground into a powder and used as detergent, shark bones that can be used as weapons, among other things. In the meantime, the twins look around and find huge pearls. Takumi is already shocked by that, and then the priestess apologizes as she tells him that this place is their landfill. For the mermaids, the pearls are just stones found in the clams they eat sometimes, and the priestess says that it has no monetary value for them. Takumi understands her reasons, so he accepts the entire landfill as his reward and stores it in his inventory. At night, he stays in the palace as a guest and receives the full hospitality of mermaids. After that, Takumi and the twins go to their room and find the diverse sea life visible from the windows. Alan and Elena want to defeat the fishes because that is all they have ever done, but Takumi teaches them to just watch the fishes from far away. The next day, Chief Galdo starts the water magic training of his guests. He takes them to a small island in the ocean and begins explaining that there are two ways to use mana. One is to control the elements and the other is to conjure them. Galdo says that in wind and earth magic, the caster controls the wind and earth found naturally. However, for water and fire magic, the user has to create it first. He creates a small fire in his hand, explaining that they only have to create an element if it is not available naturally. He tells Takumi that since water is abundant here, he should be able to use water magic freely. Takumi tries it out, and he successfully uses the water pillar magic. After that, Galdo teaches the twins about the flow of mana since they have never used magic before. Takumi also joins the lesson as he feels the flow of mana in his body. He has been using magic instinctively because of the blessings of God Sil, but this is the first time he is feeling its flow. Alan and Elena have also found the flow of their mana, so Galdo moves on to the next step. He scoops some water in his palm and creates a water ball by putting mana into it. The twins are able to do the same in the first try itself, which is quite extraordinary because even the most talented mermaids take an entire day to create their first water ball. Next, Galdo asks Takumi to use his newfound knowledge to launch a proper water ball. Takumi creates a water ball and shoots it towards a rock, shattering it. The twins are excited to do the same, and they shoot water balls at another rock and blow away its top. Galdo and the priestess are stunned by this because the twins are much more talented than they anticipated. They go back to their village soon, but Takumi and the twins stay behind to practice their water magic. Suddenly, the twins get scared of something in the distance and cling to Takumi. He uses his search skill and then suddenly, a giant pillar of water shoots up from the ocean. On the other hand, in the realm of gods, Syl is confronting Maya, the servant of the water god who gave the priestess a prophecy about Takumi. He is not happy that she interfered with Takumi's journey, but he also understands that the mermaids were in a pinch because of the sunken ship. Despite that, he gives Maya a good scolding for burdening Takumi without asking him first. The nervous servant apologizes and promises to do better the next time before running away. After that, Syl has tea to calm his mind, but he gets sidetracked again and again. He first blames the water god's recklessness for everything, and then blames himself for bringing Takumi into this world. While Syl is busy with his mood swings, his servant notices that Takumi is in a pinch and notifies him about it. On the island, the giant pillar of water gives way to a huge sea dragon. The twins cling to Takumi, and he himself is uncertain about what to do. However, the sea dragon doesn't attack him, but remarks that the weird presence he felt belonged to the servant of the wind god. Takumi is shocked that the dragon is speaking through telepathy, and then it looks at the twins and says that they must be the children of the water god. Takumi is surprised by these developments and asks the dragon if he knows the twins. The dragon replies that he was tasked with protecting the twins when they were born, but he could not go to the land to fulfill his duties or it would cause a huge commotion. Takumi understands his reasons, and then the dragon thanks him for saving the twins in his place. To repay him, the dragon promises to help him whenever he is in trouble, and to keep in touch, he asks Takumi to give him a name. Takumi names the dragon Kaiser, and a temporary contract is formed between them. The dragon then remarks that the twins appear quite close to him, and Takumi replies that they consider him as their older brother. Kaiser seems to be thinking something, and then he suddenly asks Alan and Elena to come live with him. Takumi and the twins are left speechless, and the dragon adds that since the twins are this big already, they will have no problem living with him. Takumi tries to protest, but Kaiser tells him that he can protect the kids better than him. However, Alan and Elena cling to Takumi because they want to stay with him. They are not convinced even when Kaiser tells them that they can meet him again, and he finally understands how much they like Takumi. The dragon apologizes to Takumi because he was just testing his bond with the twins to make sure that they should stay together. Takumi tells Kaiser that even though he may be weaker than him, he will protect the twins at all costs. The dragon accepts his words and then decides to give him another gift. He knows that Takumi is from another world, so he doesn't know many things about this world. The shocked Takumi asks him how he knows about it, and the dragon replies that he has lived a long life and seen many things. He believes that his vast knowledge will be helpful to Takumi, so he tells him to contact him through telepathy anytime he needs help. Kaiser also gives him a scale containing his power that will allow him to track his location and arrive there to help quickly in case of an emergency. After that, the dragon takes Takumi and the twins to the village of the mermaids on his back. They see schools of fishes up close and marine snow falling. The twins are amazed by the beautiful scenery, and looking at them reminds Takumi of Kaiser's words that he can protect them better. He hugs the twins as a promise to grow strong enough to protect them. Soon, Kaiser drops them in front of the mermaid village and takes off. The twins hold Takumi's hand, and he asks them if they are sure that they want to stay with him. They weren't even thinking about it at all, and they just tell Takumi that they are hungry because they played a lot today. They ask him to hurry to the village because they want to eat dinner, and Takumi decides to take them in, certain that no one is going to take the twins away from him for now. They soon return to the mermaid palace and tell the priestess and Elena that they rode here on Kaiser. The mermaids are confused, so Takumi just tones down the truth and says that they rode on a huge fish. The twins exclaim that they saw sparkling snow falling on their way, and the mermaids tell them that they were lucky to witness such a beautiful scene. The priestess tells Takumi to take rest now, but he has already decided to take his leave now. While Elena and the priestess want him to stay longer, they understand that he has other things to do. The priestess gives him a lunchbox as a parting gift, and with that Takumi, Alan and Elena swim back to the surface. On the way, they encounter a monster crab, but the twins immediately rush towards it and defeat it. They keep swimming ahead and arrive at the entrance of a dungeon. The twins are too curious about it, so they venture ahead before Takumi can stop them, and he has no choice but to follow them. The passageway leads them into a room with air and a teleportation device. Takumi realizes that this is the starting point of the dungeon and pulls the twins out of the water. He then checks the details of the dungeon and finds that it is the 53th dungeon called Ripple. It is a mid-level dungeon with 30 floors, and there are teleportation devices after every 10 floors. He asks the twins what should they do, and they reply in unison that they should go into the dungeon. Takumi asks if they are not tired after all this exercise, and they reply that they are fine. Takumi decides to explore till the 10th floor today and then return to the city, but before that, they have lunch. They enter the dungeon after that and encounter poisonous frog monsters. Takumi tells the twins to use magic, and he manages to shoot down one frog with his air magic. The twins try using water balls, but it is not powerful or fast enough, and the frogs jump away. The twins are upset now, but Takumi encourages them to try again. They manage to take down the frogs in the second try and collect the drops before going to the next floor. Alan and Elena notice something weird about a wall, so Takumi checks it out and finds that it was hiding a secret room behind it. They enter the room and find treasure boxes that look like clams. The first one contains red prawns, and Takumi puts them in his inventory to cook them later. There is another treasure box, and it contains dried fish. Much to Takumi's surprise, they keep opening other treasure boxes and find that every last one of them is filled with delicious seafood. This way, they soon reach the entrance of the 6th floor, but then Takumi decides to end their exploration for today. He prepares a hot pot using the crab the twins hunted earlier and the other ingredients he found in the treasure boxes. After enjoying a delicious dinner, they go to sleep in the safety of the barrier tent. The next morning, they head to the 6th floor and find a clam monster there. The twins are eager to fight it, but Takumi tells them to attack it from a distance because the monster releases a shockwave on being hit. The twins hit it with water balls, defeating it with just one hit. The twins are really happy and run ahead, and Takumi decides to check their levels. He finds that they have reached level 25, and more surprisingly, their status window clearly reveals that they are children of the water god. He wonders if it is because he knows their identity now, or because his appraisal skill has leveled up. However, he starts worrying because he is only level 27 himself, and the twins will overtake him at this rate. Suddenly, Alan and Elena come to him with a party popper, and Takumi is surprised to find yet another odd item in the dungeon. The twins are curious about it, so Takumi teaches them how to launch the party popper. As they pull the string, confetti is blasted out with a loud sound that startles Alan and Elena. They cling to Takumi and he comforts them before moving ahead. They take out their rage on the next monster they find, and it also drops a party popper. Takumi decides to put it in his inventory just in case, but the twins are scared of it now. Soon, they reach the mini-boss room on the 10th floor. They enter the room with a huge pond and a shaky bridge over it. The twins frolic on the bridge, but Takumi is having a hard time, so he asks them to slow down. Suddenly, a monster eel jumps out of the water to attack them. Takumi immediately chops it down with his wind magic, and then more monster eels jump out. Takumi, Alan, and Elena use their magic skills to hunt them down, and after a long fight, they manage to wipe out all of them. Takumi is exhausted, but the twins tell him that there are no more monsters in the room. Suddenly, a floating staircase appears in front of them, and the exit opens. The eels have also dropped a lot of loot, including fairy stones, arrows, and even some meat slices. Takumi pats the twins for their good work before storing the drop in his inventory. He is ready to move out, but the twins have spotted something underwater. After making sure that it is safe, everyone dives into the pond and finds a huge treasure box. It contains a mermaid bracelet like the ones they are wearing, and Takumi thinks that it must be a rare item. After that, they take the exit and come to the teleportation device. They use the teleportation device that takes them to Bailey City. Takumi thinks about the letter of introduction from Isaac for the local lord, but he decides to take a look around before going to the lord. They find a stall selling grilled scallops, and Takumi asks him for 3 scallops. He then puts some butter and soy sauce over the hot scallops, resulting in a mouth-watering dish. Even the shopkeeper is curious about it, so Takumi lets him have a taste. The shopkeeper is blown away by the taste, and his animated reactions draw a large crowd. They all want to try the butter and soy sauce scallops, so the shopkeeper asks Takumi to sell him some soy sauce. The people really enjoy the soy butter scallops, and the shopkeeper is soon sold out. The shopkeeper thanks Takumi for the recipe and the soy sauce, and he wants to keep selling it in the future too. Takumi has no problem with him using the recipe, but he tells him that he must get the soy sauce on his own. With that, the shopkeeper suddenly runs off to find soy sauce, leaving his stall unattended. After that, Takumi and the twins go to a blacksmith and ask him to polish the scale they got from Kaiser so that they can make it smaller and easier to carry. The blacksmith analyzes it and he immediately realizes that it is the scale of a legendary dragon. Takumi was hoping that he wouldn't find out anything, but now that it has come to this, he replies that it was a gift. The blacksmith freaks out, asking what kind of person gives legendary dragon scales as a gift, scaring the twins with his loud voice. Anyway, Takumi tells him to make the scale easier to carry. The blacksmith replies that he can't drill a hole through it or it will break, so he calls his assistant Rudy, who is better at creating accessories out of unusual things. Rudy is shocked to learn the value of the scale, but the artist inside him quickly gets at work and comes up with a design for a pendant made from the scale. Takumi approves the design, and then the assistant smith tells him that he wants to use a better material for the frame because gold will not suit the scale. However, that will increase the price by quite a lot. Takumi tells him not to worry about the price, and Rudy turns to his boss and asks if they have any mithril to use on it. The blacksmith says that they have some mithril, and Rudy is overjoyed to hear it. Takumi then asks him to create the chain of the pendant using leather, but Rudy wants it to be something better than ordinary leather to match the aesthetic of the pendant. Takumi thinks that Rudy is quite quirky with his vision, but he appreciates that. Rudy thinks that mithril spider threads would be the ideal item for the chains, but his boss tells him to stop daydreaming because they are incredibly rare. However, Takumi had got them as a gift from God Sil, and he asks Rudy if this is what he is looking for. The poor man is flabbergasted as he sees the mithril threads with Takumi and asks how did he get them. Even the blacksmith is left speechless, and he can't believe that Takumi can carry such valuable items so casually. Anyway, Takumi asks Rudy to create 3 pendants for himself and the twins. Rudy suggests that they should use slightly different designs and Takumi agrees. He asks the twins what they want, and Elena says that she wants a cute design. Alan, however, is uncertain, and he leaves it to the assistant smith. Rudy decides to start working immediately, and then Takumi asks the blacksmith if he can also create equipment for them if they provide the material. The blacksmith asks him about the material, and Takumi shows him the evil viper skin, freaking him out once again by the rarity of the item. At the end, Takumi uses the fact that he is a rank adventurer to explain how he has all these rare items. The blacksmith is shocked because he could never think that an ordinary-looking man like Takumi could be so strong. Takumi then asks him to make a breastplate, gloves, and a bracer using the leather, because he has a pet eagle whose claws prick him when he lands on his arm. Alan also wants a leather bracer because he wants Bolt to land on his arm too. With that, Takumi and the twins leave the shop, hoping that their orders are made soon. Next, they visit the temple, and Takumi talks to Sil through his statue. He informs him that he knows that Alan and Elena are the water god's children, and Sil apologizes for not telling him the truth earlier. Takumi tells him to not worry about it, but he wants to know who is the father of the twins, and what is he doing right now. But it seems that Sil can't answer that question either. Turns out that the god of water is actually a male, and he is Alan and Elena's daddy. Takumi asks Sil what the god of water is doing right now instead of looking after his children, and Sil can't say anything in response. Judging from his silence, Takumi realizes that the god of water must be a womanizer. But anyway, he is glad that he is not going to take the twins away from him anytime soon. Suddenly, Sil changes the topic and congratulates Takumi for becoming his retainer. Takumi asks what he means, and Sil dances around him as he says that it happened faster than he thought. He explains that a retainer is a representative of a god with different roles. Only after a person close to a god gets a role does he become a true retainer. Takumi asks him what job did he get, and Sil nervously tells him that he got the role of nurturing and education. Takumi is not happy with such lame roles, when suddenly, he realizes that he got it because of the twins. He asks Sil how can that happen, because the twins are the children of the water god. He believes that his role should be related to wind because he is a retainer of the wind god. Sil tells him that nurturing and education are actually the domain of the creator god, and he is not happy about that. He can't go above the authority of the creator god, but he is not happy that despite being his retainer, Takumi didn't get a role related to wind. He throws a tantrum, saying that he found Takumi, but Takumi reminds him that he just accidentally killed him. Sil gets depressed, and then Takumi asks him what should he do now. The wind god tells him that he should just keep on raising the twins like he has been doing all along, and that will be enough. that also reminds him that the fire god has sent some gifts for him. Takumi opens his inventory to find a large number of gifts, and Syl says that it is the fire god's way to thank him for developing different types of foods. He explains that the sweet bread he made popular in the previous town has started spreading to different countries, and even the butter soy scallop has become a quick hit. Syl says that for the past many centuries, there have been no revolutionary breakthroughs in the field of food in their world. That is why the god of fire was super happy when he saw Takumi's dishes going viral, because cooking is his domain. Syl says that the fire god is preparing to send a summoned beast to Takumi, and he is also going to give him fire magic. Takumi is really happy to hear about fire magic because it can be used for various purposes, but that makes Syl jealous. Later, Takumi leaves the temple with the twins, and Syl breathes a sigh of relief because he was worried that he would rat out the playboy water god who is busy with another woman right now, and his location is unknown. Syl curses the water god, when suddenly, the fire god appears in his palace and asks why is he so frustrated. Syl greets fire god Salam and asks when did he arrive her. Salam replies that he heard his entire monologue, and then asks if he gave Takumi his gifts. Syl says that he did, and informs him that Takumi was really happy to receive fire magic. Salam says that he will be even happier when he gets his special summoned beast. Syl nervously asks him what has he planned to give him, and Salam tells him to wait and watch. Syl has a bad feeling about it, because things get out of hand every time the fire god is involved in something. The next day, Takumi takes the twins to the beach, where they play in water with Feet and Jewel. Bolt rests on Takumi's shoulder, who asks him if he doesn't want to play. Bolt says that he doesn't like water that much, when suddenly, the twins splash Takumi without warning. He scares them off playfully, and as they run, he uses water magic to create a fun slide for them. The twins really love it, so they tell Takumi to do it again, and he creates the slide again. The twins are still not bored of it and ask him to do it yet again, and he thinks that he will quickly level up his water magic like this. As he starts activating the skill, an explosion takes place behind him, and when Takumi turns around he sees a giant red lion standing there. He wonders what is happening and checks the status of the lion, only to find that it is the summon the fire god sent for him. While Takumi is overwhelmed by the giant lion, the twins find it amazing. Takumi asks to confirm if the fire god sent him, and the lion creates a strong wind just by growling to affirm. Because it is at level 1, it doesn't have telepathy yet, and can only answer by roaring loudly. Takumi decides to name him Vector, and the lion likes his new name. He seems quite tame and fond of Takumi, who thinks that taking a giant lion like this along with him will be quite troublesome. He asks Vector to turn small, but even his smaller version is as big as a normal lion. Alan and Elena climb on the lion's back and introduce themselves, and then Takumi introduces the rest of his contracted beasts as well. After that, the twins start playing fetch with their pets. When it is Vector's turn, he runs ahead, ignoring the ball, and returns with a human in his jaws. Takumi freaks out, thinking that Vector just attacked someone, but as he gets closer, he finds that the red-haired girl he brought here is just sleeping peacefully. He decides to check her stats and finds that her name is Vivi. She is a demon-vampire mixed blood, and Takumi is shocked to hear that. However, he knows that in this world, demons are not at war with humans, so it is fine. He then asks Vector if he found the girl unconscious, and he affirms. Takumi tells him not to drag anyone like this because they may get hurt, and the lion gets sad on hearing this. Meanwhile, the twins poke the girl, who says she is hungry. They say that they are also hungry, so Takumi decides to cook something for everyone. As soon as he says lunch is ready, the vampire girl Vivi immediately gets up from her sleep. Takumi's group enjoys delicious rice balls, and Vivi can only drool as she sees them from a distance. Suddenly, Takumi walks towards her with a plate of rice balls, and she can't believe that he is giving it to her. She takes a bite and falls in love with the taste, so she starts eating in a hurry. The twins are worried that she will eat everything at this rate, so they begin stuffing their mouths too. After that, Takumi asks Vivi to tell him how did she end up unconscious on the beach. However, she first finishes her meal, and then thanks Takumi. She then introduces herself, and Takumi and the twins do the same too. He asks her the question again, but Vivi interrupts him to ask about the food he gave her earlier. He tells her that it was just plain salted rice, and Vivi is surprised because in her area, rice is used as animal fodder. She doesn't mind eating it because it was tasty, and says that Takumi is really skilled in cooking. She asks if he is the twins' dad, and they coldly tell her that he is their elder brother. She is a bit suspicious about it, and says that she loves poking her nose into other people's stories because she is a spy. Takumi ignores her and asks how did she faint. Vivi replies that she was going to another city, but forgot to pack food for the trip. She tried getting food by hunting and gathering in the forest, but she found nothing for a couple of days and passed out. Takumi tells her that she should have gone back before it came to this, but she replies that it is all good because she is fine now. She says that she needs to go back quickly to report her findings to her employer, and the twins are curious about it. The loose-lipped Vivi tells them that her mission was to investigate about a noblewoman's potential groom, and she found that he is a player who keeps many commoner women in his mansion. The twins act surprised by it, even though they don't know what it means. With that, Vivi decides to take her leave, and to thank Takumi, she gives him 2 medicine vials. Takumi uses his appraisal skill on them to find that they are this world's Viagra, but only for vampires. He is flustered on receiving them, and Vivi tells him that she made the potions herself, and they are very helpful. She tells Takumi to keep them as she runs away, and he has no choice but to put them in his inventory. Suddenly, the twins turn to him with a serious question and ask him what is a dad. Takumi is taken aback by the question, and he takes a whole minute to process it with the few remaining brain cells in his head. He tells Alan and Elena that fathers are usually called dad, and they ask him what is a father. Takumi is shocked that they don't even know that, because they called him Big Bro quite casually. He asks them if they know the meaning of Big Brother, and the twins affirm. They know that they are brother and sister, and Takumi says that this means they are family. The twins ask him what is family, and he sits down to give them a lecture from the beginning. He tells them that every family has a mother and a father, even though some fathers leave to get milk. He says that kids are born from their parents, and this is news to the twins. They ask Takumi if he was born too, and he affirms, saying that being born is a wonderful thing. That is enough to satisfy the twins' curiosity, and they run to the beach to play with their friends. Takumi is relieved that they didn't ask him too many questions, but he knows that once they grow up and become more mature, they will ask about their parents. The next day, they go to the Adventurers Guild, and Takumi takes a quest to gather ingredients because he already has everything that is needed. He goes to the receptionist Karen and tells her that he wants to take the quest, but she asks for his adventurer license first since he is new around here. She screams as she finds that he isn't a rank adventurer, but calms down to receive the ingredients. As she is updating Takumi's license after that, she freaks out again as she finds that he has been to the underwater dungeon which no one has explored before. She asks Takumi if he really discovered a new dungeon, and he realizes that it turned out to be a bigger deal than he thought. He says that they found it when they were playing near the sea, but it was nothing serious. He says that if the quest is over, he wants to go home, but Karen screams at him that he can't go anywhere. Her loud voice scares the twins, and later, the guild master makes her apologize to Takumi and the twins. Takumi tells the guild master that it is fine, and then they get down to business. The guild master wants to know the location of the dungeon, and Takumi points it out. The dungeon is surprisingly close to their city, but since the entrance is underwater, no one could find it before. Takumi tells the guild master that they have to swim some distance to reach the entrance, but skips the part about the mermaid bracelets. The guild master thanks him, and then tells him that he will have to meet the lord of this region tomorrow regarding his discovery. The next morning, Takumi goes to the mansion of Lord Cedric, who is Isaac's elder brother. Takumi is shocked to hear this because Isaac only told him that they knew each other. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe and check out this brand new anime about a weak salaryman who transforms to become the strongest adventurer in the world.